So I've been working on the S10 lately, working on the front suspension, trying to get a little more travel out of the front end. I think I had, what did I have, 3.5 inches of travel. Anyways, I changed the coil springs out in the front to factory 4-cylinder S10 springs, which did bring it down about 3/4 of an inch. And hopefully that'll help. I got these tubular control arms I picked up at the swap meet cheap, and I'm going to try to stick them on too. I do have extended ball joints on the top. I don't want it to hang that way a whole heck of a lot because it starts screwing with your brake hose and some other stuff. I don't know if those will give me any more, you know, drop or not, but that's what I want to see. There's the old coil springs. This pickup is a factory V6 with AC. I grabbed 4-cylinder non-air conditioning springs. I'm at the junkyard, and the plan is to take the coils out of the front of this pickup. And the reason why I'm going to take them is because this is a 4-cylinder pickup and it does not have air conditioning on it. So these springs should bring the front end down lower on my pickup, being as it was a V6 truck with AC. And the plan is to do all this and take it back to the track, see if I can get in the 6s. So I wrote down what the height was from the floor to the fender lip before I started, and it was 30 1/8 basically. I got it down to 29, and I can't remember what it was exactly, but basically 3/4 of an inch on that side, and I got it dang near an inch on this side, and I don't know why. Don't know what's up with that, but maybe that one spring was a little bit weaker than the other, who knows. I do have them clocked the same in the A-frame, and there's nothing impeding it up in there because I actually looked. But like I said, hopefully I can get this thing back to the track here. Probably a little later in the year. Another thing I want to do is take that seat out. I don't know if I showed I put that seat in there, but I do not like the way it sits. I mean, it sits alright, but it's too much of a pain in my back or pain in the rear end to get up over that, whereas the factory seat's more flat, so I'm going to stick the factory seat back in it. Gotta be a little bit comfortable when you're racing. Other than that, that's all I've did to it lately. Did have some plans to try some different carburetors on it. I got a Holley Pro System carburetor I thought about trying on it. It's supposed to be a 750, but I don't think it's a 750. I think it's actually a little larger than that. But who knows? Time will tell. Well, I guess one thing I did last year, which I didn't film any of the races because I couldn't even get on my YouTube account, but I stuck a 1-inch spacer on top of the 2-inch spacer. Didn't seem to do absolutely nothing. So I'm going to take that back out and just leave the 2-inch under it with the nitrous plate. That's just an open. I'd like to have one of those super sucker spacers, see if it does anything. Just need a little bit more to get into the 6s with it. That's why I'm changing some of this stuff, messing around with the front suspension. Maybe it'll hook a little better. Maybe a different carb, who knows. And I thought about changing intakes too. It's got a Team G on it. I got a Holley strip dominator I thought about trying on it. I have Elbrock Victor Juniors I could try on it too, but I did see a Super Victor 2 on Facebook I thought about buying, but I don't know if that'd be a little too much for it. Being this engine isn't all that nasty and wild. And the heads are 195 runner. If I had some 210 good AFR heads on it, it might help. So I would like to try some, but I can't bite the bullet and spend that much money on just some cylinder heads. So it would be nice to try it and see what difference they would make between the cheapy. These are eBay, bought on eBay heads, but they're basically the same as the AFR eliminator heads, not counting the valve guide size. So I'll try and get those control arms on. It's gonna be kind of a bitch, I guess, because these headers are in the way down there and I haven't found the right tools to do it yet. Pulled A arm out, the factory one. I installed that one that I got the swap meet. That's from Speedway Motors. It was actually Speedway Motors at the swap meet, but I had to cut. Get this damn light to sit up in here. See something. I had to cut that piece right there to get the arm to sit down more flat on it. I took the rubber out. There's a rubber that goes in behind there, which is right here. I took that out to get it to fall down some more. And I had to cut that and heat it up there and bend it back down. And I'm going to weld it back up there. That way, if it does come all the way down there, not saying that it will, it's going to rest right on top of that piece there. And this stupid light won't sit anywhere where I can get some good light to look at it. There you can kind of see it. But I did put my extended ball joint in there and it worked pretty good. One thing that was a plus, I actually got a boot to go on it. That worked perfect. That was off the ball joint that was factory, not factory, but came with this arm that is now in there. The rubber that was on that fit perfect on that ball joint. So now I got boots on my extended ball joints that you get from Speedways, where those come from. They don't come with a boot when you buy them. But now it's got one on it so I can keep the dirt out of it. But there's the arm, and I'm going to weld that up. I'll stick the rim on and measure up to here and see how much I gained. I looped on there and up to the fender well. 14 and a quarter, or hair over that, I can't really read it. Of course I ain't got no light to see it, but before I had 14 inches, so I gained a quarter of an inch there. I only have half-inch drop upper ball joints. I didn't want to stick the inches on it. But I think that should be perfect. I need to let it down after I do the other side. And then measure how much suspension travel I have. And it should have gained maybe an inch and a quarter. It should be getting me close to 5 inches of travel, which is what they recommend if you're running cow tracks on the back. 5 inches of front suspension travel. All I know this is killing me being on my knees, working down low on this thing. I need to get all this buttoned up, and then I can get it up in the air and finish up. Or not really buttoned up, but kind of stick some stuff on so I can raise it up and put the rest of it on. So instead of having my knees on the ground, it's killing my knees. Should be able to stick the shocks and the brakes and all that stuff back on up in the air, not down. Well, it's all back on now. Everything is tightened down. Got the cotter pins in, sway bar links back on. Got that welded up where I split it. And it seems to be on there. So I just need to throw the tire back on and then go concentrate on the driver's side. Get it done. I'll probably spray a little black spray paint on there before I put the wheel on. So I got over here to the driver's side and managed to finish it just like the passenger side. Basically just wash, rinse, and repeat. Bent that rod and welded it back up. Support brace, whatever you want to call that. The only thing I thought was weird is these grease certs up here. I could not get grease to go in them unless I loosened them up. So that makes me think that the hole there, where the metal's kind of thin, and that's going down and hitting the bushing and wouldn't let it grease. But kind of backed them up, greased it, and then tightened them back down. Just have to remember, sometime down the road I decide to grease those again, I'll have to loosen them up. Like I said, I got boots on the upper ball joints now. Springs are in. I have a 4-cylinder truck. Everything's back like it was. Need to put the tire on, let it down, and see what we ended up with. Alright, here's what we got. We have what, 29 3/4 or 5/8, somewhere in there, but we were 30 1/8, so gained a little bit. But it hasn't been driven either, so it probably will settle down a little bit once it's driven. We had 30 1/8, so roughly 3/4 of an inch, somewhere in there. But I want to measure the drop too. I just been doing it off the rim here. Of course, I can't hold all this and film at the same time. Anyways, we'll get a rough idea here. Hook it on the rim. Hold it with my knee. We got what, 9 3/4 maybe, if I'm reading it right. Somewhere in there. Now you lift it back up and measure it. Alright, got her lifted up to see what the drop is. And get the stupid tape measure in there where it's supposed to be. Got around 14 1/4. So we got about 4 1/4 inches of suspension travel. Really, if I stuck 1 inch longer ball joints on the top, it'd probably be about right, or pretty close. But we got what we got, and hopefully this will work better than it did before. Picked up by 1 inch anyway, just doing what I did there. But there's always room for improvement, I guess, but I need to just see what this is going to do first. And that'll involve a trip to the track. And lately it's been smoking hot and humid here, so I'm not worried about it probably till later in the fall. I want to take this racing bucket out, which I don't really care for. Kind of put my bar in here so I could get out and get in and out easier. Like I say, the stock seat's more flat. This thing, you gotta get your rear end down in, and it still makes it a pain getting in and out. So I'm gonna put the stock seat back in it. Can't remember if there's anything else I wanted to do to it. Oh yeah, the carb spacer. Take that out, take that 1 inch spacer, add it on top of the two, just see what it would do, and it didn't basically do anything, so we'll take that back out. And that should do it for S10, probably till I go